There are political campaigns that feel authentic. There are political campaigns that feel carefully managed. And then there's political campaigns that seem so mythological crafted, so aggressively polished, and so relentlessly focus group that they begin to resemble something out of Hollywood thriller. That is exactly what came to mind as I watched Democratic Senate nominee Graham Platner emerge from the Maine's Democratic primary and officially become the party's stand-bearer against incumbent Republican Senator Susan Collins. The comparison that kept coming back to mind was the Stanford Wives. After following Platner's campaign for weeks, I went back and watched both the 1975 classic and the 2004 remake. The central theme of those films were not politics, it was conformity, and it was the creation of the ideologic image designed to replace reality. Watching Platner's campaign, I could not shake the feeling that I was witnessing a political version of the same phenomenon. Here was a candidate presented as a perfect modern Democrat, carefully scripted, media friendly, progressive enough for activists, polished enough for moderates, and packaged as the answer to whatever questions Democratic strategies believe voters will be asking. The problem is that real life has a way of interfering with political packaging. Before Tuesday's primary, voters were confronted with a growing list of controversies connected to Platner's past. Public reports and allegations circulated involving old online posts, comments regarding veterans and law enforcement, a tattoo controversy that generated significant attention, prior statements embracing socialist political views, and other personal conduct questions that became campaign issues. Platner's response has largely been that he is not the same person he once was. Perhaps that's true. People can change. People should be allowed to grow. But voters are also entitled to ask questions when somebody seeks one of the highest offices in the United States government. Those questions become even more important when many of the controversies are not ancient history, but stem from relatively recent years. One issue that particularly troubled me involves allegations made by his former girlfriend, Lindsay Fifield, regarding the nature of their relationship. Plattner has denied wrongdoing, and those allegations remain allegations. Nevertheless, Democrats frequently remind the public that allegations of abuse deserve to be taken seriously and examined carefully. For years, Democrat politicians and activists have argued that victims should be heard. Should that principle suddenly change because of the candidates involved happen to have a D next to their name? This is the fair question for Democratic voters to answer. Another issue involves reports surrounding online communication and sexting allegations that became public during the campaign. Again, Plattner has stated that the communication involved consenting adults. This is his position, but when somebody seeks a seat in the United States Senate, transparency becomes important. Voters have every right to evaluate the candidate's judgment, character, and credibility. The standards should not be different simply because the candidate belongs to a political party favored by the national media organizations. What fascinates me throughout the campaign is not merely Plattner's response to controversy, but the response to the Democratic Party itself. For nearly a decade, Democrats have presented themselves as a party of character, accountability, and moral standards. They repeatedly told Americans that character matters. They told voters that the words matter. They told voters that the past behavior matters. They told voters that the association matters. They told voters that accountability matters. Until, apparently, they needed that nominee. Then suddenly conversations changed. The standards became flexible. The scrutiny became selective. The outrage became conditional. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of the entire saga is how quickly many Democrat activists and party's leaders moved from concerns to acceptance. The message seems clear. We know the controversies exist. We know the headlines are uncomfortable, but here's our nominee. That may politically be convenient. It's not partially convenience. I was present Tuesday night when Plattner celebrated his victory, and what struck me most was not the speeches itself, but the broader atmosphere surrounding the campaign. There seemed to be an expectation that voters should simply move on. That question had already been answered, that the discussion was over. Yet, on Wednesday morning, when Plattner appeared on television and was asked whether voters should be concerned about anything else from his past emerging before November, he reportedly expressed confidence that there was nothing more to be worried about. That answer may reassure supporters. For skeptical voters, however, this might be an opposite effect because political history teaches us a simple lesson. When a candidate declares that every question has been answered, voters often discover they still have plenty more. Ultimately, this election may not be about Graham Platner alone. It may become a test of whether Democrats still believe the standards that they spent years promoting. Do allegations matter? Do character matter? Does accountability matter? Does past statements matter? Or does those principles only apply when the target is Republican? For years, Democrats have hurled some of the harshest labels imaginable at political opponents. They have invoked fascism, extremism, and even Nazism with astonishing frequency. Now, they face a situation in which questions surrounding one of their own candidates have become part of the public debate. Their response has been revealing. Rather than demanding complete transparency, many have chosen to circle the wagon. Rather than encouraging scrutiny, many discouraged it. Rather than asking difficult questions, many appeared content to avoid them. That may be enough to win the primary. Whether it is enough to win general election remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, the carefully manufactured image of the perfectly Democratic candidate is now colliding with the reality of political scrutiny. And when that happens, voters, not party strategists, not media consultants, and not political activists, get their final say. Come November, Maine votes will decide whether Graham Platner is truly a candidate Democrats claim he is. Until then, the questions aren't going away, nor should they, and that's my take. Good night.